Okay, we'll go ahead and call the order at 6 p.m.
To state of America, it should be of which stands one nation. Justice.
Okay, clerk to the board for a roll call.
Mike Womack,
Here.
Patty Drew. Here. TJ Detox.
Here.
Ryan Dietrich.
Here.
And Jen Sonner. Here.
Everybody's here. Has everybody had time to review the minutes from February 27th and the agenda for tonight? So I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Bring us to your 4.0 public comment. Is there anybody signed up for public comment? Okay, 5.0 financial report. 5.1 expenditures. Everybody have time to review those? Any questions?
I just want to make sure that everybody knew that the SEI filing window is open. Everybody should have gotten their emails.
Yep.
And we have for 1 month to get that done. And also Corey and I had the exit meeting with the auditors for the interim audit, and it all went well. Just a couple clerical errors that were corrected before the audit was finished.
Good. 6.0 principal report.
All right. So, finished up the teacher evaluations for this year, and we got some of the result there. Also, we have the Swiss update. Last month, let me back up. In December, we had 2.8 referrals per day. Then in January, it went down to 2.2. And I reported that it was even lower than that for February, but we had a deluge after the board, and so it was up to 2.2, so it was even with the January report. And this month, we still have a week to go, and we're sitting at about 1.7 per day. So it's still happening, and things are going well, but I'll give you the final numbers next month for this month. Language arts adoption, we have 3 series. I told you we have 3 series that we're looking at for language arts adoption for the elementary. And we're starting Wednesday. We have our first 1-hour presentation. We have all the samples for all 3 of the series, but we have a representative that's going to be zooming in on Wednesday. We're going to go from 2:30 to 3:30 with the elementary teachers and take a look. They've already been looking at the materials. They'll be able to learn a little bit more and ask some questions. And then we have one other that's scheduled for sure. We have that for another Wednesday. I'm still looking to finalize the 3rd series to have the representative come in and talk to us about the series. But we're on track to get that finished by the end of the year, so we can have that in the budget and go ahead and have the, whatever series we decide to get will be done by the end of the year. Another fun thing, our RTI bus incentive program, we talked about that last month, but the kids are on track. Well, I should say 3 of the 4 buses are on track to meet the goal of 20 days with no trackers, no referrals on the bus. And that should happen on this Friday. We have 1 bus that missed 1 day. And so what the MTSS people were hoping would happen is happening. The kids are doing really well. And so the only thing we have to decide now is when we're going to have the pizza party and where the pizza is going to come from. I have my own personal, you know, I'd like Boltanos, but that, you know, that's just me. That's Sahara.
I don't think they DoorDash out here, do they?
I'm hoping you. So we're on track, and so we have then, the team also needs to decide when we're going to do that, because if 3 of the buses are finished this Friday, the last bus is hopefully gonna be finished up by the 31st, then we just need to decide when we're gonna do those things. That's, so,
Pretty quick.
pretty quick. Yeah, we wanna get that done quickly so that we start over again and have another pizza party.
Excellent.
Okay. That's my.
Is there still monitors on the bus as well? Is that still been?
So as part of the MTSS, we have one monitor on, I believe it's the blue bus, which
Yes.
is the one that you referenced. Had one tracker. Prior to this, though, we were having pretty consistent tracking come off this bus. I mean, multiple, every week. So that's why we went down this route, which again was the tier 2. We're targeting that one bus, but we opened up to everybody, but really we've been focused on this one specific context the whole time. So we have one, yeah. And we're gonna pull that data also for the Swiss to see, we already know what we're gonna see.
Yeah.
That it has had an impact. It has had an impact.
I'm guessing that's the bus part with the most students, right? That's going to LC route.
Yep.
And do the kids get to pick their party? So will it be the same every time, or do they get something different next time?
Well, we can have something different, but right now, it's just a pizza party. And so then we could open up the kids and ask them, but I'm not sure exactly what the team wants to do at that point. Yeah. As long as it's Boltanos, I shouldn't be doing commercials.
Are you sponsored by anybody? Okay, that'll bring us to old business, 7.1, sex education curriculum. Natalie?
Where do you want me? Here?
We're,
There?
Were you gonna use a laptop for you? Were you gonna show it? Because probably up here, if you wanted
Yes.
something up here.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you have a single slideshow or do you have multiple?
They need to open here.
I was gonna just show them the drive.
Okay.
But I was gonna show them an example of the, okay. Is that okay? Oh, you might wanna be nearby.
Sorry.
Unless you want your stuff. Okay, so, I'm, the last time I missed the meeting, I'm sorry, I was gone for 2 weeks. So here we go. We've got, I created my own drive. It's the Second Step Child Protection Unit lesson drive. And I've got the slides, you know, there are 6 lessons. And this is the kindy one. Sorry. So each lesson has, you know, like a topic, ways to stay safe, lesson 1. You know, today we're going to learn. This is the second step. The younger lessons, they use puppets. I'm a huge fan of puppets, but this is Impulsive Puppy. And this is, oh, sorry, Slow Down Snail. The cool thing about this is that, so kids see the puppy and snail, or, you know, there's this, but the script is all down below. So on each of the slides, the teacher would read from the script, and this one is, you know, like impulsive puppy found a bottle of pills and, you know, he can't wait to eat them. So it addresses, you know, the always ask first rule, you know, if you find something like, hey, can I eat this? No, it's medicine, whatnot. The 3 ways to stay safe, recognize, refuse, report, and the 8 never rules. You know, never touch a gun, never play with fire, never ride on wheels without wearing a helmet, never ride in a car without a seatbelt, never use sharp tools alone, never cross the street without looking both ways, never touch a dog without asking first, never go into water without a grown-up watching, never cross the street without looking both ways. So, just kind of go down here. The thing that I really appreciate about Second Step is they have pictures, and there is, there's, you know, the script for, like, this is Brayden. He's showing his sister Clara the gun he found under Dad's bed. He wants to take out the gun and play with it. So using the 3 ways to stay safe, recognize is one of the ways to stay safe. Like, is it safe? What's the rule? Don't touch guns, you know. And then refuse, if someone is saying, hey, let's play with this gun, the next one is refuse. And then, you know, with refuse, you, in another lesson later, you know, it talks about being assertive and, you know, standing straight and making eye contact and saying, no, you know, I don't want to do that. So, sorry. Corey said that I only have like 5 minutes, so like, oh, everything. But, you know, all of these are, this is straight from the curriculum. I wanted everything, the script, you know, all the graphics and stuff to be like 99% from the curriculum. So it's not me, it's this. And Second Step is considered like the curriculum is like the Bible of, you know, school, like SEL as well as child safety. So you know, I thought, wow, if we had everything on a drive and Abby can work her magic, where there's like a counseling drive where, you know, I get hit by a bus, it's still going to be there, you know, and asking the teachers to stick to the script. If you guys want to take a look at it, Second Step is just, it's used in all 50 states. So it doesn't go quite in depth, you know, in a progressive, you know, kind of liberal hee-haw, you know, state as Oregon. But it does a really good job of skills practice and having kids recognize unsafe, safe situations. So anyways, I'm going to cut that short because I did want to talk about the Great Body Shop. They sent me the latest samples. Okay, so I don't have the samples from 2006 anymore. And like, should I, is that okay? Okay, so this, it's really nice because there's 10 lessons. So each month, the classroom teacher can focus. And if you take a look there, oh, sorry. Okay. And if you want to take a look, please, these rows, do not get these mixed up because these are K through 5 of the same lesson, or that lesson is different, this one is different, so. Oh, can I give, well, wait a minute, I already showed you.
I've already seen something.
And the teacher's guide, this is the teacher's guide. So it's not gonna blow a teacher's mind. It is it's very practical. All the information is there. And then at the end of the month, the kids could possibly take it home if we're getting the renewed one every single year, or we keep it, we laminate it, we use the same information for 3 years. So we have options of how we want to do this. So this is way more based on health rather than, oh, you do this in this situation. Second step is more of skills training like that, recognizing unsafe, knowing how to say something, what words to use, and just practicing that. But this, has to do with, bullying and, like the stress that bullying causes. It goes into anatomical body parts for the sex ed sort of component. It talks about germs. This row has the germ unit. So it would cover the components of, and at the young age, we're not gonna talk about it so much, but there is an Oregon standard about, talking about HIV and STDs and how germs spread. But I like how at the younger ages, they just talk about germs. If it's wet and not yours, don't touch it. Very, very, practical. So I really, really like this curriculum because I think it complements really well with second step. So I just wanted to give everyone a chance to take a look to see what it looks like. And, who knows, maybe I'm a little, oh gosh, can't think of the word. I'm sorry. I'm kind of nervous. I don't like talking. And it's so weird because no one else is here, but it reminds me of highlights, as a kid. And so it just kind of makes me feel a little nostalgic, getting the Ranger Rick little thingies and reading it. So I think it's a really great curriculum. And if I had known that the copies that we had were from 2006, I would have ordered it last year. But lo and behold, they were hiding and I couldn't find them. But I think that I would seriously recommend to the school board using this curriculum because I think that you would make a really solid, solid teaching tool to keep our kids safe. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. So this looks like a family bulletin. So, and it says this month in the Great Body Shop. So do these go out before the lesson, the bulletin, and then how often are the lessons?
See, that's another component that I love about this because it gives the classroom teacher wiggle room. If they wanted to teach like a few of those concepts, like one Wednesday and then, or like 4 Wednesdays in a row for 20 minutes, they could do that. Or if they wanted to spend a longer time, have one big lesson, but it allows the teacher to use the time, in the best way possible, for their class.
For their class.
Yeah.
So is each lesson intended to last for a month based on how often, or maybe one a month because that's all the teacher needs to do, or one every week is what you're saying?
They could do it one
Yeah,
every
okay.
week, twice a month, or, I wouldn't necessarily recommend once a month because it could be a lot of information, and we want the kids to read about it and take interest and focus on that health aspect of the month more than one time a month, So
And I wasn't quite clear, now, these are the more current 2009 version,
Uh,
one at 06.
the ones that we had that I found were from 2006. They were really, really old.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because when I got here, someone had mentioned, oh, we have the great body shop. So I went, great. And then when I finally found it, it was from 2006.
Natalie,
Yes,
on the slideshow that you showed, was that only kindergarten?
that was only
You have another one
kindergarten.
for first grade, another one for second grade?
It is going to be, first and second is gonna have one, because the specials, are grouped, you know, first, second, and then 3, 4, and then 5, 6.
Okay.
So, I am working on them
Okay.
because, it takes a lot of focus, and my day, I can never guarantee that I'm going to have sit down time. Today was a quiet day, so I got a lot done, you know, but it's just a matter of sitting down and just making the slides and, you know, copying the information.
So there is a different one for each?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's 6 lessons per day.
There are 6 lessons. There are 5 lessons, and then the 6th lesson is a review of all of them.
And the curriculum is in your office, but I know at one
Yes.
point when you were here prior, a few months ago, and we're going through this process and the board's adopting, you mentioned that we want to make it more sustainable for the future. So instead of combing through all the curriculum stuff, that we put it in a slide format, so it's very accessible to all of our teachers in the district. And it's also having that script on the bottom, so you don't go off script at all. You keep it very, very safe and secure. But the message is there, and it does hit all the compliances that are needed by the state of Oregon.
Yeah, and then do we anticipate much change in the state requirements over time? Will this feel like be something that can be used for several years, do you think?
I mean, the first time the sex ed curriculum came out, it's like 2017, something like that. Or the last time,
Well, the child protection unit stuff, the second stuff, I don't see that changing. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But the sex ed curriculum stuff, that did change very recently in the last year or two.
Okay.
So I don't believe they're gonna update that anytime in the next 4 years, I guess.
Cool, okay.
But I don't see it happening right away.
yeah, and it's not considered the comprehensive sex ed curriculum anymore because they mixed it in with the health adoption. So, so all of those different standards are now part of different standards in like health. So, so yeah.
So they would get those components when they take health in high school. That would come in their health.
Well, the health adoption, because
Requirements.
we're utilize, and correct me if anyone here who works knows the difference, but I know it as the blue book. It's a big Glencoe, big health book. And they take health in the spring, if I'm correct. And it's twice, it's right in the high school career, it's twice. We need to update that also. And so you're gonna see, this would encompass K through 8th grade. So you have your entire K through 8 with the second step. If this is a great body shop, is this with the board and the community has to go through this also. We have to provide time for them to take a look at it. So you couldn't adopt it tonight at all. But go through that process and get the message out there for families to come in and take a look at it. But that would cover literally the K through 8 for all those components, adherence law, suicide prevention, and Addams.
Opioid.
But then make a recommendation in the fall, working with whoever the principal, council visit, those kind of things, go through that process with high school, whether it's an update of the Glencoe, wherever it might be. But that'll look a little bit different than this, but this covers the entire K through 8. And we have funds. I know we have funds we put in here. The whole thing, $1,500 for the whole K through 8 for everything. It's not expensive. Just a matter of the material. And the district, as you said, everybody dropped 2006 or so. That was the last time, if you remember Ms. Tyser as principal, she went down that road with this. If you were on the board at that time, she was going down that road of looking at adoption of the very same program that we're talking about right now. My daughter's school, Astoria, they use this also. And I've been part of some of the parent nights, some of the touchier subjects also. They go through them with families virtually, sit there and you watch. And so you know exactly what your kids are gonna be looking at and being discussed about at school. And then opt in, opt out, all those things are still there. So.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
oh, thank you.
And did you want to mention to them also about the online link?
Oh, I was going to share the online link to access the Great Body Shop, for the curriculum, but, you know, I had a really smart moment and I went, you know, before I send the school board this username and password to take a look, I'm gonna check to see if this is still active. And no, it was not active. She didn't let us, I think she only gave it to us for like a week. But I emailed her back and I said, hey, I was gone for 2 weeks and I didn't get a chance to take a look. So I'm hoping that she gives us access again. And then and I asked specifically for 2 weeks this time. So once she sends that to me, I will share it out with the board so everyone can peruse. I've already shared it with one parent who was concerned about the lessons, you know, specifically for her first grader. And when I asked her, hey, what did you think of the Great Body Shop? She said, I have no problem. It looks great. You know, so that was really good to hear from, you know, a concerned parent. So
We'll look forward to that. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, 8.0 new business, integrated programs report.
Abby, I gotta get back on this thing here, 1 second here. Like, let's do an update.
Because you know.
Already had that conversation.
So we don't.
That's true. Did I before? There you go. Thank you. Okay, so I'm slowing stuff here.
And the other option is you could just share it with me really quick. I can open it on this computer.
Here. Oops. We'll try to open another screen if that works, or not even do that.
Looks like it's.
So it's working.
We're just gonna share it with me. Quick, and I'll just pull it up and I see. Okay, but- Because I'm worried for the computer.
That's your one on the field, so.
You know what these meetings would look like without Abby?
Right?
I remember we're not very good, right? I'll give him a.
I don't think we thank you enough, Abby, so.
She wears a cape, I think.
Yeah, yeah, she does.
They'll return.
I'm actually gonna stop sharing and redo this. Sorry, I hate the update that they did on this.
Very good.
Yes. Or we should just have to. Oh.
Okay, so this is part of our integrated programs. And so if you've been to board meetings in the last couple of years, you may hear me say things about student investment account, high school success, and those components. So I'm going to go over to this. Oops. Have to each click their best for this one. Thank you. Yeah, my glasses are a little bit rough here in my vision. So this started off originally as 5 programs. And so this is the state's way of trying to shrink down the work. And so there's this program we use called the RAD. I know Tammy and I use a lot of the RAD, and it's Supported Corporate Ed's version of taking a lot of these initiatives that districts take into account for their work inside our building here and put it into one component. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So very top is our continuous improvement plan. And that used to be a separate report that we have to build for the district. I never actually did one for the district. It was something I worked with previous administrators on before, but I never actually put one forward for the district. It's now encompassed within all the different reports that we put together. So we don't have to be creating all these documents individually. It's all one giant report. Everyday Matters, that's the one on the second left. Blue, you can see I've put them on the other side here. That is attendance. And I'm going to speak about our attendance also, because we've had some things to celebrate about our attendance compared to most of the whole state of Oregon. Career connected learning, and also career and technical education. Those all fall under our CTE and work-based learning items that we have in the district. High school success, that's getting our 9th graders across the finish line. Whether we get them through their 4 years or 5 years, that's going to be talked about also here. Student investment account, that is our largest grant for federal grant, 218 or something. I have to look at it, I'll show it to you. About 218 to 225,000 or so. And we have been receiving this now for about 4 years or so. And then you have your early indicator and intervention systems. That's basically a program. We use about $300 of it for a program called ION. And that's basically a program that identifies students who are struggling early on in the elementary periods through some of the components in their classrooms. We have our SWIS and we have our STAR Renaissance program right now. So that basically took over our ION, and we got rid of the ION program for the statewide assessment program in the district. And then early literacy success school district grants. That is what the governor has put in place as of last year for all the districts. And that's working very specifically with our birth all the way up through 3rd grade classrooms. And for the last couple of years, we've been able to keep it up through 5th grade for that biennium. And then the last one we are not currently part of, and not interested in being a part of that one. That's our federal school improvement for comprehensive targeted supports. That's when we are struggling to meet certain benchmarks and whatnot. The state comes in and provides support and guidance and tells you you've got to fix these things, if that makes sense. So I just want you to be aware about that. You can see the elements over there. The common goals have not changed in the last 4 to 5 years since we've been doing the integrated guidance. They've changed names, integrated guidance, integrated programs. It gets a little confusing, but they keep adjusting this as we go along. So a well-rounded education, that has been verbiage in this district for quite some time around this grant. And then the equity advanced. And things have been changing in our federal government. You can see with those things are also having some changes across the country. And I know with my meetings in Hillsborough, we also talked about what that looks like for Oregon also. So there's pretty intense discussions going on in those avenues about what that looks like for our students and for our district, for all districts here. Engage community. And I've also talked about with our staff also that next year, how can we engage even more with our community? We feel like we've improved, but there's still a lot of room to grow. And so we're still working through that process. And then strengthen systems and capacity. We've definitely been working on strengthening our systems, creating them for sure. Capacity is also hard though because there's so few of us. And those of us that make those decisions, those that create these systems and put them into place and put them into the system here, there's not a lot of time to make that happen. So that's been a struggle, but we are doing it as best we can with what we have. Okay, community engagement, we start off the year with an open house. We did a Title 1A presentation, which I don't recall one of those happening in a long time. I stated it at that meeting. And integrated programs, just a brief update from where we were the previous year and where we're going to be going into this year, and providing opportunities for people to have comments or come up afterwards and give their suggestions for future components of the district. We also just recently sent out a staff and student survey, which I had it online. I did not send this one out, but we had paper copies. If people wanted to run through them, but we did send out a robocall call. We had emails go out, text messages. We had on social media also went up, and all the same questions that are up here were on there also. I'm just going to run them through. I'm not going to answer any of them for you. But what the state is asking specifically around this pink one, I believe is what it was. The red one, student investment account. It says focus on students who have been historically marginalized by the education system. And for us, our focal groups in this community is high poverty, disabilities, and LGBTQSIA+. Those are our focal groups for our district here. And so we have to make sure when we're putting these things together that is the group that we are focusing on in the district here. And so as 5 areas established, it's lowering class sizes, which we kind of laugh about because that's not a concern in the Jewel School District. Meeting students' behavior and mental health needs. We are truthfully working on that. You can see tonight, this is another one of those where we've been continuing to try to shed some light into this avenue. We are supporting our kids in all avenues, getting a counselor, school-based health center, bringing in mental health supports to our school-based health center, bringing in the child protection unit, bringing in the sex ed curriculum, things that have not been updated or present for quite a while in this district. Extended learning time. I think some of our community gets a little confused with that. It does not necessarily mean summer school, but it can mean some extra projects. There's things like that. We did some summer learning stuff this past summer, 2-week camps that we did, 1 week here and 1 week later in the summer. But it also means things such as after school programs, other things such as camps, those kind of things. And that's the extended learning opportunities. I've been pushing more that we need to extend that beyond just the summer, that we should be doing that year round throughout the whole school year. We don't just provide these camps and extra supports during the summer. Ensuring a well-rounded education for all students. That's the equity aspect, making sure all of our students are seen and provided the services that are needed to provide them the supports to grow where they need to and should be growing. And then establishing and strengthening partnerships. You got that at the last board meeting. You saw Ms. Cluck, is that who it was? Yeah. She was here for the assistance suite. And that has been part of what we've been doing for a while. It's just, I was surprised, the school board didn't know about that. So that was just one example of a partnership. You're going to see a couple more coming through tonight later on. And the superintendent, for sure, maybe can cover it up after this one here about more partnerships. And then the last one, climate and culture work. So through the National Climate and Culture, I can't remember this organization, I can't remember the exact title of it, but we just put out a survey. There's an all call that just went out to the community for climate and culture survey that was scheduled to take place in mid-December. Obviously, we had a situation in the district that took place, and so we paused to hold on the climate and culture survey. The students and the staff had a chance to take it last week, and now we're opening up to our full community. And that will go off to the National Climate Survey Association back there, and they're going to feed us back the results of what it looks like. And I really hope everyone's being honest on these things and really being truthful, because we want to know exactly what people think of culture and climate in our district, so we can vision forward and continue to move to build partnerships and community within our district here. Shared values, so through the survey for the student investment account, I know it's kind of hard to read. Outcomes for the staff and community was post-secondary college and career readiness with more focus on trade and technical programs. So the workforce aspect of things is becoming a very big deal in Placer County and beyond with CTE. And students not just looking at college as the only opportunity. So as a district, what do we do to provide some growth and opportunities in the CTE world? There's a reason Martha is here today also, because you'll see inside there's some real potential for the district to continue to expand our options for our kids. Some exciting opportunities. And you can see it there, increase and expand CTE programs offered, including the middle school grade levels. I know we've done a kind of a wheel, so every quarter they experience something new. And so we've been speaking a little bit as a scheduling team if that's been effective. Do we continue to keep doing that? Can we change some of these electives for kids at those moments? So those are discussions. Everyday Matters expansion, district-wide focus on attendance. We have the highest growth in attendance, or one of the highest, definitely the highest in Clatsop County, but one of the highest in the state of Florida. And that's kind of what I forwarded you. One of the other ones I'll do the longitudinal growth stuff. I'll show you where it literally just spiked all the way down. And then all of a sudden the numbers just went boom, way above the state average, to the point they're asking, the Northwest Regional is asking, how did you do that? And I'm going to be blunt with you. I think there's certain things that we're doing in the district that I think that's our Swiss expectations. We're changing schedules. Our schedules have been the same now starting next year for the third year in a row. So we're building consistency. There's no guessing what's going on. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. You know, I sometimes hear early on, some students early on would say, you know, it feels kind of like a prison sometimes. And I beg to differ. It's not a prison. We're actually setting standards and goals and benchmarks to reach and hold. We want to hold you accountable. That's how the world works. So it's not a prison. We just haven't had those feelings here before. It's just expectations. So that everyday matters, the attendance. I'm working on a TOSA position also for next year to continue that attendance growth. But I'm not happy with it. I still think it's too low for us. I want it even higher than what it is. And I've got plans in this tiny little head, as my wife says, about what that might look like. And we're having those discussions at the MTSS team right now. Okay, K-12 teacher increase in professional development around PBIS, MTSS, RTI, trauma-informed care. This is what we're doing on our Wednesdays. This is literally what we're doing. And if you've been following us, we started last year, haven't stopped. We're still doing this. We spent a whole year on behavior. And what do you know is Mr. Scott, he's still talking about behaviors because we're still identifying tier 2 and tier 3, how to work through these processes. This is where our district staff is learning how to get comfortable with this language. Yes, the kids, I hate to say it, I don't want to say they're guinea pigs because they're not, but we're learning as a staff right in front of our kids. And so that's going to continue. The trauma-informed care, we've had Mandy Davis sitting right where our board chair is sitting, give some information discussions about how to work with our kids under some increased trauma at home coming to school. We're not done with Mandy Davis. She's been here twice. There's some in-rent grant money that I keep talking with the business manager here about bringing out some extra supports for our community to work with our community in the district. Working with their kids, working with the community in the district so we can work as a partnership as that roof as I often say to help support our kids. Expand our extracurricular programming options. Easier said than done. We are a small district and also recognizing the capacity of what we can really truthfully do in the district. Don't go beyond that. It's either you're going to get poor results out of your extracurricular activities or you're going to get spread so thin that you're going to have enough kids to do anything. So I want to be realistic about that one. Hiring and retaining high quality teachers, absolutely. And I'm a firm believer, and I say it sometimes, and I got to be careful about that. I don't care that we're in the middle of the ghost range. I don't care. If you are singing and screaming proudly about what we're doing and pushing for, you can attract really good candidates here, and we do. Over time, I want to make sure every position in this district is just full capacity with that vision in the heart, because you can pull it out on every level here in this district. And then continued counseling support for our PK through 12th grade school district. That was the one that came up a number of times. Budget-wise, I don't see this as a possibility, but having a counselor just for elementary and having another counselor just for secondary. That's not feasible in a rural small district. I don't believe that's feasible at for such a small caseload, but that was something that our community, some staff had expressed. Just wanted to throw that up there for our results. Student outcomes, access to a counselor. They like that. They think that's very, very important. Access to a counselor for small groups. When I see that, I see tier 2 in TSS. That's the first thing that comes to me. Small groups, individual, that's more of a level 3, but I see tier 2. Schedules for students that allow for additional time for the remediation and enrichment activities and access to additional resources. I think that needs to be carefully structured for that to take place, to make sure that those resources, if we have them in place, are being utilized effectively for our kids. I don't want any wasted time, but I think we can make some of those things happen. And then the same thing as said about access to differing CTE options at the middle school level, but also high school. I know that's been discussion as well. How do we provide a little bit more for them? And as a district lead, I look at that in a scheduling. I say for our CTE, we have construction, and we've been doing some ag stuff on the side. We have a music program, and I've expressed this mildly. To me, those are your anchors for the district. Those are your anchors. And then you can have some other things that branch off in the CT world and whatnot. But again, recognizing your resources in the district and the capacity what we can truthfully do. You got to be careful how far you expand. You're going to take away from some of our other options in the district. And you could collapse a program too, very quickly. As your music teacher years ago, that's why scared the heck out of me. One mistake on the schedule and you're going to start a downfall of the program. So since the next biennium, starting the next school year, 25-26, and the following 26-27, you can see the amounts. So 217 for the SFA next year and 226 for the year after. High school success, and I'll read through them in a minute. 70,000, 73 almost, and then EIAS, same thing, $300 basically. And then early lit, it's 59 and 61 for a total of almost $708,000 out of grants from the federal government for these things. SIA. Now, when you read these little things here, these are all the things that we have made some actions for the district in terms of our goals and our activities that we could utilize the funds to pay for. And they have been changing a little bit. So they were a little bit smaller and we're increasing what we can do. Hire student academic success coach, hire post-secondary support staff, community engagement coordinator stipend. Some of these aren't being utilized right now. It just depends on the needs of where we're at, but they leave them up there. Then all the benefits, additional salary, transportation for summer learning, supply for summer learning, admission fees, camps. That's how we're sending all these kids off to camps the last 3 or 4 years. When you set off, when I was doing band, you set off $23,000 worth for almost the entire band program to go off to camp. That's unheard of for most districts, but this grant allowed that to take place. Professional development, travel for professional development, staff stipend for that, administrative and direct, student health and safety. We utilized some of that stuff also last year for some of our individuals coming in. Donna Beagle, everybody remembers her presentation when she came in. And then community letters on the family support. And I'm still looking at potentially expanding that with the state. Depends on what we can utilize for the vision for the district. We just have to ask. And then high school success, for our construction EOS, that's program of study. That's our construction. That's not the teacher costs, but we put some of those costs into paying for the salary of our instructor there. EIAS, that's your Star Renaissance for early intervention systems, as I mentioned before. We already have that embedded. George Scott, former principal, was one working directly with that. We are now getting access to Mike Scott to start taking more control over the STAR assessment program also. We won't go very far with it this year. We've only got 2 more months to go. And then early lit success, we just sent 3, I think, I can correct, maybe 3 or 4 staff members to New Orleans to the National Convention for Early Childhood Literacy based off of the science of reading. That's the adoption thing you hear Mr. Scott talking about. We are not in compliance with the state of Oregon for what is scientifically based curriculum for the district. They do not recognize anything that we use at the early childhood level as being what would be considered appropriate. Now, when I said I want to be mindful, great work is happening down there, and they are hitting benchmarks. Our teachers are outstanding there, so don't get me wrong. But the state of Oregon wants to see all schools follow suit. So that's why we're going through this adoption process. I guarantee you their education will always remain top notch. but they're just gonna be more advised at the state of Oregon of what they want based off of the science of reading. And then we're also for dyslexia training, usually have one member elementary assigned to do dyslexia training, and there's different forms of the trainings. I mean, there's so many versions you can go out there and take, that I made a requirement that all of our elementary teachers are trained in dyslexia, not just one, but all of them. And then we're looking at some coaching, it's not up there, but some coaching also. And just so many things I could talk to you about these things. If you're going to my office, I don't know, maybe some people this can go over their heads. But there's so many exciting things around that component. And that one, early success is not going there anytime soon. So just want to make sure you don't forget anything. I have one more slide, but I won't talk about that one yet because that doesn't need to be voted upon. This is an actionable item, I believe. Another component. This is at the early stages. This is the application for the integrated programs. This is roughly currently, this is 24 pages long that I put together for the district. This is what Mr. Scott, George Scott, former principal, and myself were working on. We're supposed to put this together. I couldn't put it on Mr. Scott, Mike Scott when he came in, because I know Washington didn't do the integrated program stuff at all. I have a history with this. I wrote the very first one for the district under Mr. Losing track of everybody. Mr. Wood and Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, excuse me. So I put that one together. So what this document is, it really speaks everything I just said, but it goes into great detail all the way through. If you would like to read it, that's fine. It's due no later than April 30th. If it's late, we do not receive all of that. That's a hefty amount of money. I did run it through a gentleman, Rob Saxton, former superintendent. I don't know exactly where, but he's been working at the district for a while. And he gave me all these color-coded things. He went through this with me a couple weeks ago after I completed it all. Other than just a couple minor things, this is just about done. And which is outstanding feeling. Absolutely wonderful to feel that. So I really believe after spring break, I'm going to go in probably on the first or second week and submit this. We have to do it in one sitting and submit it all the way to the state, provide all the artifacts and other things that the state requires, and then I'll hit submit, and we wait to see if has any directions to come back from the state. One of the requirements for this is, this is part of a 167-page document from ODE about the integrated reports. I'm saying that because that's a lot of pages on top of everything else that goes through. Integrated application, including the narrative responses and this thing and the budget, which Cameron and I went over. It's in the RAD program. It needs to be submitted by that April 30th timeframe. For the board, I need to have presented this to the governing board with the opportunity for public comment. So I don't know if we need to approve it. I don't think we need to approve it. I don't get the gist. I just need to make sure in the notes that it shows I presented this and provide opportunities for you guys and for the public to comment on this. And then at that point, oh, never mind, there it is, approved by the governing board. So approved by the governing board, and it's not a consent agenda item. So it does need to be approved by the board. And then once that's done, I can submit this off to the state. And we need to post also where this is at on our website, as you know, and it needs to be also accessible in the main office as well. So I know there's a lot here, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take what I can there.
That's for me.
I'm sorry. So we have to approve it, but after the public comment? And that's all done by
Correct.
video?
So posted, so we will get this posted after the end of today's meeting. We'll present to the governing board for opportunity for public comment, and then after that, approved by the governing board.
You barely have time by next board meeting.
Yeah, yes.
What is that?
So you barely have the time by next board meeting.
So our next meeting, when's the deadline?
Well, this part has to be approved in March. This part would have to be, this here would have to be approved at this board meeting. All districts are presenting this slideshow and just the verbiage at the March board meeting.
So we'd make a motion tonight to approve.
To approve the
This
draft.
verbiage.
This is the draft.
Draft.
You're approving the
Okay.
draft.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, you're approving the draft. Public comment before you approve the draft. And then after the draft, then everything gets submitted to the state, and then they give you back the feedback if there needs to be changes. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So
So what has to
How
be
are we
done by
gonna-
April 30th?
what is that?
What has to be done by April 30th?
I have to submit the final document to them by the 30th. The final plan to the state by the 30th.
Okay, so we're gonna do the draft tonight,
Next meeting, we have to.
and then
How do
it
we
goes
get,
out to the community.
How can I phrase this? The report, it doesn't go to the community, the actual report itself needs to be open to community comment and
Okay,
report. is what
okay.
I'm saying.
oh,
And then it comes back, and then at the April board meeting, we approve the whole thing.
And at the
And
April
then
board meeting, I need to have this,
You have to open it. to
Is it
public
this
comment.
report now being open to the public meeting?
this is considered open to the public right now.
Okay.
I guess, I mean, if you want to hold off until April, you can.
No, I don't want to, but
Oh.
I'm getting a
Yeah.
little confused of what we have to do tonight versus what has to be done before April 30th. Do we
April-
have to approve it again before?
No.
Okay,
No, I
that's-
just,
okay.
I don't want to wait till that time period because I'm worried that gives me 10 days.
No, I don't wanna do
That's
that
what I
either.
was saying, it's tight.
And so, yeah, every district's going through this in March. And Rob Saxon said, you want to get through this in your March board meeting.
So we just approved the draft. So whatever the state decides, oh, I don't like this, then it has to come back, then do we have to approve it again?
At that point, as long as it's by the 30th of April with the state, then we can make the adjustments during that process.
So are they gonna get all that information back to every school district before the 30th?
That's why we all have our specific context, because these colored marks are not my markings. This is another superintendent who's gone through this, who has worked with the state.
Okay,
And he's done,
so we're pretty sure that,
oh, I'm fairly certain this is all good to go.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because I don't want the state to foul us up by not getting any corrections or any additions or deletions
No,
that
I
they
mean-
want.
So once you submit that to the state by the April 30th, you've got it, you're good to go. Now, if there's mistakes with it, or they want to see adjustments after April 30th, they'll let you know and you can fix them and still get all the.
Okay.
Still get them done. I just want to make sure that we have this information out before the 30th. If you wanted to approve it in the April board meeting, you can.
No, I don't want to wait that long.
But that just gives me only roughly 10 days or so to get it submitted. And that's a lot of work to get submitted. I've got to
Yeah.
highlight and type and read all in red in one sitting.
and so what we're approving is how you determine that money is going to be spent in those different buckets.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. That's all.
Thank you. That's significant stuff.
And these haven't changed much in 4 years, or 4 years. If we're seeing some adjustments, it's just how are we utilizing our staff as best we can with the funds that we have, so we're not spending out on a general fund. Using some grant funds, but at the same time, with the understanding that usually when you have grants, you don't want to fund your employees out of it, because if the grant goes bye-bye, you got either pull out your general fund or you lose the employee. This isn't going away. I don't see it anytime soon. I really don't see this going. In fact, they've got it planned out in a big 67-page document till 2032 right now is where they have it planned. So I see this go for at least another 6 more years.
Is this a federal or is this a state grant?
Federal.
This is federal. Okay. Interesting.
Still,
Yeah.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that? Did they give us any exact verbiage for the motion, or is it just the motion to approve?
And just gotta make sure if there's any public comments. So
Is there any public comment?
So with the
Okay.
SIA, right?
yes,
So, are you, do you do like any staff input or anything like that? Like surrounding, like, hey, you know, because I think a lot of us kind of see, like, gosh, we have this thing and we don't know how to get it taken care of, but I feel like if the staff's on that list, then they might be able to like give you some, hey, I have this thought, can it fit in here? And I don't know, I know you guys use it for all sorts of stuff, but that is a significant amount of money.
well, the one thing we want to be cautious about also when we do that, because sometimes, and we've come across this, so I'm just going to be transparent about it. When we start getting, it depends on what it is. Some of these grants, we want to use large chunks because we have got to the end where the reason some of these things continue to go down is because we have little expenditures coming out here and there. And it's so hard to get those tracked and keep those moving forward, so $100 here, $300 there, and you're talking $217,000. It gets really complicated, so we're trying to put large chunks into these things, if that makes sense. And they do need to follow suit for the student investment account, they have to follow suit with the 5 lowering class sizes, all the things that was in the survey, they have to follow suit with those. Because again, it's because of, focus on the students who have been historically marginalized in specific communities. And that's the gist of it. But our district is so small and size-wise, it benefits all kids. It benefits all.
We did open it up last year. I said, if anybody has changes or that would open up the court is right. It's difficult to have little tiny expenditures to account for that, to make sure that they are fitting within the 90.
Yeah.
Because it does roll over year by the end of the biennium. If you don't spend it or draw it all the way down. I mean, that was us sitting in the office and, we're sitting there, oh boy, you've got, a chunk still to spend. And we don't have, there's not a lot that was fitting the criteria at that point. So we're trying to work it through and talking to ODE and going, how can we make this fit? But they have very specific criteria for that specific fund.
Make sure you put that together. It's a lot of money. Yeah.
It's a lot of work to put that together.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share any details. But my weekend, that was crazy. God, putting it all together bigger.
Good. You have somebody who'd like to make that motion?
What has to be in the
Right.
motion?
Yeah.
My thought
Pretty
process.
vague on what they gave us, so.
My thought process was that the board would say something effective. The presentation was shared. I don't say you can approve the draft, but the presentation was shared in the public. Comment was provided and the board wants to move forward with go ahead and just submitting the application to the state of.
And do we have to put any kind of dates on this or just say the integrated programs report?
Okay, progress report we kind of roll in.
Okay.
Over the years. Cover the years in it or no?
Well, you could say, if you want to say biennium of 25 through 2027.
Through 32.
No, well, 59, but 25 to 27.
Were you gonna make that motion?
I can.
Oh, go ahead.
The integrated programs report for the bienniums 25 through 27 was shared with school district number 8, Jewel School District, to board or the governing board and community. And the board would like to approve the draft.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
All the years that we've been doing these things, every time I come up, usually you'll get an annual report from me once a year. And then this is only my second time going through the whole process with the district. But the last time has always been online. It's up there. Everybody can see what's putting on there. There's pages and pages, but it's all up there. So when this is all said and done, you're going to see pages of work that's up there as well.
And we're gonna find it where on the website?
That would be under the ODE.
It's gonna be on the OD required information page. It's just saying integrated guidance at the top.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 8.2, 25-26 district calendar draft. We should have a copy of that.
I say, how many times are we going to approve this and reapprove it? It's just one of those things that
I know.
happens every year.
And I ran it through both associations as well, and so far, everything looks good. You can see graduation is still similar to this year. It's the last Saturday in May. Just the way the calendar rolls out, it's pretty much the same calendar as what we did this year. It really does not look hardly at all different.
buffer in any more snow days in there.
It's what we've always had.
So what's the state requirement for student contact days?
Well, it's that for students, they go by minutes. They go by instructional minutes. But we put those on there just so we can see how many actual contact days we have with our students.
So,
It's the contract days for teachers, which is spelled out. Yeah,
okay. So there's 1,150, over 1,100 instructional hours, that's for students. And that meets all the requirements?
Yeah, for Division 22, yeah. And again, I went through that last board meeting for the snow days. There's a specific amount for K through 8, a specific amount for 9 through 11th, and a specific amount for seniors.
Because it says down here in the very, very bottom in teeny print, 190 for teachers and 171 for student contact.
Yes. It's on the top too, it's on the top as well, the top
Oh, I
left
see.
box. It's bigger there. Yeah. Cool. I'll make a motion that we approve the Jewel School 2025 to 2026 calendar.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Yes. 8.3 agricultural program information by Martha. Come on up.
And can I say something before you go?
Yeah, please, I'm gonna pass my stickers out.
So,
You guys know what's up there.
so I have asked Martha to come in. And I've talked a little bit with you as the board. And I know Martha's done a little bit of reach out to some of our student bodies and some of the families. And you know that we received some grants through ODE, and quite a bit of money. I think, wasn't the first grant, was it 15 or 10?
10,
And then we received another 10, is that right?
15.
Oh, 15, okay, so 25 plus the B grant, whatnot that we also have. And you can see we're building quite a bit of interest. Last year, Martha and myself and Mr. Ray, I think, came together and we spoke with our CT spokesperson, guidance counselor, you want to call it, from Clatts Community College about our program of study. And our program of study for the district, our main CT program is construction. And so much interest in agriculture outside of things. I was interested, could we take a look at that for our student body to see what that could do to, unintended, to grow some interest for our community. So we did that last year and a little bit prior year before, and it's really blossomed this, boy, all these puns. But it
Good, that's good.
wasn't
Keep it
planned
going.
anyway. Sorry.
Keep practicing.
I'm becoming my dad. Lucky dad. But in general, the interest is definitely there. And we've been able to embed that within our schedules, but kindergarten all the way up to the high school. But we ran into I'll just say some differences of thoughts with what this, I don't say a change of program of study, because you're allowed to have one, but I think there's some confusion with the college of what that really could look like for a district, because other districts have more than one program of study. Why can't the Jewel School District have more than one? So things simmered down a little bit last year, and then we re-engaged again this year. And I had another conversation with Mary Jackson, a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago or so. And the vision is much more open. We're not getting rid of construction. I want to make sure you're very clear when you hear me say that. Not getting rid of the construction program of study, but taking the ag and making that the giant umbrella for the district with all the components underneath it. That this would be a potential workforce CT program where you have agriculture and construction, or agriculture and welding, or agricultural and business. It's whatever the district sees fit to make it work. So I asked Martha to come in today because if we were to take a look at potentially looking at a program of study addition to the district, I can get that information in before the end of April. And we can make that transition, and literally the district could actually have an ag program in place in September, running full time with interest, and embed that in our elementary. We've got a loose schedule already built. It's already there. We'd have to build an advisory committee. Again, all those partnerships, those are already not in place, but the contacts are ready to go. Everything's ready to fire to make this happen. But I hope I asked Martha to come in and express kind of where we're at right now with what we've been doing in the senior per se, and then the board's recommendation, what do you want to see if we were to move forward with this, more outreach, whatever it is you have thoughts about, so we can take a look at that. I'm just intrigued because if we're going to do this, I want to investigate this thing and go, because I'm a firm believer, and some of you have heard me say this more than not. When the right people are in the right part of the world, things can take off. And I think I was here for a reason for that music program when I came in here, because it didn't exist and it flew. And I keep thinking we have individuals who come into this district that have a very specific skill set that can really vision what could be possible in our little community here. And so this is when I'm intrigued. So thank you, Martha. What you present.
Thanks for that introduction. So I kind of got a glimpse last meeting that you guys didn't know anything about Assistance League, which then led me to believe that, hey, maybe you don't know much about the Jewel School Garden. So I'm doing an introduction from when we started until where we are today. And it's hopefully shorter than I think it's going to be, but this might be my first PowerPoint presentation. So here we go. Okay, so as Corey mentioned, we applied for the competitive farm grant in 2022 for $10,000, and they granted it to us, which was great. So that got us our elk fence, which was a huge amount of money, plus all of our amendments for building our beds. So we needed topsoil and all of our fertilizer and our manure and things like that, because we had to start from scratch. And then we needed all of our seeds and I mean, we needed everything. So that $10,000 was really great. In March, we got a work party together and we built the fence. That took we got everything up for the posts one day, and then we had to let them set before we stretched the fence. So that was another month probably. But the kids got the beds prepped and designed all by the end of the year, and they got half of it planted in that first year. So that was really great for starting in March. So I'm just going to show you some pictures of kind of before and after and kind of where we went. So this is building the production garden. That's what we call the upper garden behind the barn. Have you all been up there to look at that? Okay. If you ever get a chance, it's pretty fun. So this was the pasture that we were able to use, and you can see there's nothing there. This is the math class came up with Connor Veit, and they did all the math in the classroom so we could order like all the posts, like how much we would need for the space that we were going to fill. And then they came up and they laid it out. They surveyed it as a class, which was really great. The Pythagorean theorem, here we come. And then this is our volunteer work party. I think we had like 16 people show up that day, which was awesome. It was a beautiful day in March. We got all of the 55 holes dug with a 2-person auger and all the posts set. These are our helpers that day. That's my kid on the left in the red. I don't think he helped much, but he sat around. And then the shop class came in later, and my husband Nate, and they did the H bracing, and they stretched some other bracing so we could set the gates and things like that. And then Nate and I ended up stretching the fence. I don't think we ended up having kids come in for that because it was pretty cutty. We got cut a lot. So we, I think, did that in a couple weekends. So then we had the science class, many of them come up that spring. And this is them after the math class again, laid out our 22 rows and aisles. And then this is the forming of the beds. So that was a lot of work. They did so good and they rocked it. And I just, so much pride watching them do them. So this is planting the garden. This is the first year, and they did all the starts from seed. I think we, this is in the greenhouse. This is
I guess they were first graders. No, this is second graders that year. So they started these from seed and then they kept transplanting up to these bigger pots. And so by the time you can see the mounds behind them, they got into the ground. They were in gallon pots. They already had this great start. And they had a pretty good pumpkin year that year, but not tremendous. There's Newt again, sorry. So that was our first pumpkin patch. And then this is just from the beginning. So this is before the kids left, this is what they planted. And then this is what they came back to. So that's the same year. That was the first year. And so you can really see, like, you know, when you do these hands-on activities with kids, you know, it's hard to visualize until you get to visit the same spot over and over and you see that growth. And the excitement that then they have when they get back to school in September is just, I mean, you should come and see it because it's really fun to watch them. So this was just some of the starts from the first year. This was last year's starts. Those were 3 of my main seniors that worked with me all year. And we were on the floor, right? And so we started in the greenhouse and I think we planted 1,000 seeds in 1 week and half of them got taken out. So Abby and I put some game cams up and we have a serious rodent problem. So then we brought everything down to the courtyard and we were bringing things in and out every day. Super inefficient, terrible. So with the second grant we have rolling racks now and we have grow lights. And so we can even start earlier this year and we can just roll them out when it's nice, drop the plants, and then we can roll them back in. So each year we're just getting more dialed. This is some of our harvest. So those are heirloom tomatoes, which I know Corey said it was the first time he'd ever had heirlooms. So this is what your kids are eating in the cafeteria, and Heidi is tremendous with putting this product out. She loves the fresh food. So I feel really lucky with that because she is 100% behind me the whole way on whatever you bring me, I'll put it out. So this was potatoes. We got way more than that. That's just kind of a nice picture. This was 1 pick of strawberries this year. And so I was processing them and putting them in freezer bags. And then those have been going out to the kids in their breakfasts until they ran out, which I think it was like December, but I was getting this much like every week.
Wow.
This was some of the greens. The seniors last year did pickles. This is their pickling. This is our 7th graders this year. That's our broth. That's a drop and a half for how much broccoli we got. It was just beautiful. Florets, some carrots, carrot battles, and cucumbers. There's another pick. You might know that kid. Very exciting day with potatoes. I don't know if you can see how big Juniper's potato is. It was pretty fun. There's another one of our students, our onions. Maybe you had some pumpkins come home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was our first romaine harvest this summer, and that ended up getting distributed when Heidi delivered school lunches in the summer. She just took romaine around and dropped it with the families, which was cool. And okay, so that was like, first year was production garden, second year is pumpkin patch. So I say, Corey, we have this huge area on the side of the gym. It's not being used at all. Can we use it? So we did, and it was an awesome year with the pumpkins. I wish I could have got the first. We did pumpkins and corn, and the corn didn't do good. That's okay. We're not going to do it there again. And the pumpkins did amazing. So this is the end, like this is getting near the end. I don't know if you walked up that way, but they were all over. So we got 70 pumpkins. Every single elementary and pre-K got a pumpkin this year. We're definitely doing it again because you can do so much science with your pumpkin and then take it home, and they love that. So these are a couple of the other littles. Okay, so then the second grant through ODE that we wrote last year, it's a biennium grant, so we're currently still in it, was the $15,000 one, and I wrote it so that we could get the raised garden beds out there. So that was with the seniors last year. we kind of came up with what we would want out there because it's a really beautiful space, but it's really underutilized.
And this is the space between the building here. There's a little square inside the middle of the building. That's outside that has not been used for 15, 16 years.
There were 2 garden beds that were not used, and we did plant those immediately that first year, but they were getting old and just kind of needed a revamp, and then also just to make that area so people want to go use it. Because like if we could get, you know, what we're working on is more picnic tables out there. You can just do outdoor classroom, you know, right from your classroom, right outside. And the little kids, getting them up to the production garden, it's hard. And we did our steps and it's hard for them. So getting it closer was key. So yeah, we wrote it for 15 to 20 raised garden beds out there, and then 5 for the greenhouse, because we want to put some more up there because we have a small greenhouse up in the barn. Kind of already talked about that. The mural was, you'll see that next. Okay, so this is kind of the pre-courtyard transition, not much out there. And then this is the beginning of the mural that the Intro to Ag class did this year. So there's 7 kids, and they spent their first month of school doing some of this stuff along with they needed to get some heavy labor in there. They were going a little crazy, but this is the end result. So it's kind of the backdrop. It has Saddle Mountain is in there. I don't know if you can see it. We still haven't finished, but they're all putting their handprints on the bottom for the roots as a way to kind of seal us all together. And then they are writing their signatures. And I know they don't think it's that cool now, but they're going to come back. They're going to know it's cool. Because if you're all touching hands and all forming that root system, again, going into the plants, we're hoping that they can see that bond. So these are some of the raised garden beds we have. If you go out there now, we rearranged everything because we took out the old garden beds. These are the kids doing the hugelkultur, which is, you just start with a layering system because those beds are so big, you can't just fill it with a whole bunch of dirt. And so it's like composting while we are growing. So that's been really fun to teach them. It's a lot of work and they're doing so good. This is the 8th grade class that just came in last month, and they've been rocking it. There's a couple more. Okay. So, sorry, I don't know how long I've been going, but I'm going to tidy this up. Crunch Day. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a day that Oregon puts on. There's the National Farm to School Month in October. And so we participated 2 years as a way to bring more attention to having fresh food in our schools. And we will do it again next year because it's really fun. So you all take a big bite of a fresh vegetable or fruit at the same time. And so we did that. We did our own carrots this year. And last year we did cucumbers and other. So those are some of those guys. Volunteers. We have 2 parents try and come once a week. I have struggled to try and figure out the best way to get volunteers in. And I think it's that you just have to ask people. You have to say directly, hey, can you do this thing for me? And then they're like, totally. And doing that this year, I've gotten 2 parents and they are showing up like regularly. And that's the key. And then last month we asked Virginia to come in and teach class, and she did. And I'm hooked. And I would like to say, for your community involvement, I would like to bring people in to be like guest cooks once a month, because it gets people in here and then it gets more of us moving together. And if our community is teaching the kids something, I think it just adds an element. So once a month, I'll talk to you more about that, but I would like to continue because Virginia being in here was awesome. And I'd love if she was here more.
TJ's amazing.
I would love to have TJ in. Okay, so and there's Virginia, ta-da, and there's Grant. He comes every week. And then we had the Master Gardeners come in and do a couple classes. This is a soil class that they did for the 7th graders, which was really fun. And then they came back and did another one with the Intro to Ag class because they started the Master Gardeners program in January. They let them sign up. And so we're working through that curriculum right now. This is the end. So future plans for the ag program. We got a $1,500 grant for through Whole Kids and the Bee Cause Project. So we're gonna be getting bees. Depending on what my schedule looks like next year, if I'm still driving, I can't do a club, but if I'm not driving, I'd really like to do a bee club because that would be a great after-school potential. More after-school and summer garden programs is a thought. Currently, we have applied for 2 grants. I applied for AgFest, which is a $4,500 one, and then for another Whole Kids food grant, which is $3,500. So cross your fingers that we get this. And then other thoughts, expand our classes. I don't know. Greenhouse, fruit and nut orchard, processing shed for veg, walk-in cooler, animal husbandry. You know, we can just go for the works. Long-term goals here, long-term goals. And then this is, I realize I gave you that survey about FFA, and I'm not gonna go into any more about that, but I thought, oh, maybe nobody actually knows what that is. Do you all know what Future Farmers of America, that's what it stands for? So there's a lot more to FFA in 2025. It's a huge program and there is a lot of potential there. So anyway, that can be another discussion at some other point, but we could maybe start an FFA chapter. Okay. And these are my end pictures. Look at those kids. I just love that picture of the 7th grade. They're moving compost and they're just having so much fun. All right. There we go. Thanks for listening to my spiel. I appreciate you. Does anybody have questions about the garden, Patty?
The kids that come up, is it an actual scheduled class or do they do this on their own?
They do this year. So I had TAs last year for the older kids, and then I've had elementary gardening since last year. But that first year, I was doing partial gardening, but they made it like on the schedule last year.
Okay.
So K through 5th, and then this year it's K through 6th, and that's 1 day a week. And then I have 7th and 8th grade, 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. Amazing for middle school. And then I have seniors and 1 junior every day, 1 hour a day. I would love to have more time with all of the grades because.
And do the kids come?
Do they what?
Do they come regularly? I mean, is this a class that they look forward to coming up and digging in the dirt, and planting their plants? I mean.
I think so.
Okay.
I feel like the 8th grade class, I haven't heard one complaint, not one. I'm blown away by and I think
Family labor is wonderful for up here.
it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I definitely, the 7th grade, they would be like, oh, it's December. We don't really want to go up.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, that's what we're going to do today. And once we get up there and they get that fresh air and they move their bodies, and then, you see the end result. Like you don't see maybe months of what we're building.
Sure.
But then again, when those kids come back and they see what they built, there's a lot of pride there.
So do any of these kids put entries into the county fair?
I think that would be a great thing to do.
I know that through FFA they probably could, but still, or 4-H, but the school maybe.
Totally. Yeah.
I think the potatoes need to go. Those potatoes are
Huge. Okay, any other questions?
Is Heidi actually getting all those kids to eat that broccoli?
If there's
I
enough
think
cheese.
she is because it's delicious. And
It is.
there's broccoli growing right now. The spring shoots are coming out and I took those kids up there last week and there was kids like, I don't like broccoli. I'm like, just try the tender shoot. And they were like, okay. So like if you get it fresh off the, stalk,
Okay.
might change your opinion a little.
I like those.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing a little farm stand?
So I definitely would love that. And I know that, there's other teachers that have mentioned that as well. So I think that would be a great future.
Because we have other little
Red
farm
flags.
stands, but nothing for fresh, I mean, really fresh broccoli,
Totally.
onions, potatoes.
I'd rather have the kids eat it if they're eating it.
Well,
But,
true, but I
do
mean,
it.
but still,
Both.
for a class to
If there's
learn,
If there's
extra.
extra, right.
but to learn how to grow it, how to process it, how to,
Well, and then the community
Promote
would be
it.
like, I want to go get some of that fresh, heirloom tomato going.
yeah. But I mean, it would go from start to finish, to, how to process and how to promote it and get it going. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that'd be wonderful.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Marlene.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Martha. Nice job.
Guys, everyone really?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, so,
We got all night.
so.
Have a little water today.
So I guess, I mean, vision that I've had for the district around this is to be pushing this. So unless I get direct feedback, I'm gonna keep pushing,
Oh,
You should.
with, the position of study. And, because I think this is, and I've walked with Martha and a number of people down that area down there from the Fourplex and Vision Orchards and expanding the garden, and doing the umbrella where you're doing, as you mentioned, selling foods and just career related anything around this. And kind of like the music program, not everybody's into it, but my goodness gracious, they felt that sense of pride and got excited. And before long, it's just huge. I really believe this is potential for that in this district. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
And visiting Rainier School District is the only one closest to us that has an actual ag program. The other districts also talked about potentially, this is in the future, looking at what can each school district provide for CT resources. Joel could provide construction and ag that the other districts don't have, for example, ag, so they could partner them. Kids could come out here or they could do some virtual learning. Same thing, our kids, we don't have fishery or we don't have auto body and that kind of stuff. We can do the same thing with Warrenton or Seaside or Astoria. Automotive, all sorts of stuff out there.
Yeah.
So this is me saying this is an opportunity that I don't want us to let this slip out of our hands, because I think it's, again, I'm gonna use another analogy, I think it's ripe for the moment right now. So,
I think when you have passionate people with, if someone's passionate about it, it's easy for everybody to get on board, so.
Yeah.
That's,
I
that's huge
sense
then.
it's a fertile opportunity for growth. You handed it to me.
Corey's got more, we gotta get to 8.4.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. We got stalker.
He's a budding comedian.
Okay, 8.4.
sorry, I shared one more document.
Oh, we feel
Kind of hungry.
Almost breakfast time.
I think it's raining.
It's probably hail.
I thought I saw lightning a little bit ago.
Oh, no.
Surprise.
One thing if I could just add is that some of that SIA money goes toward supporting the gardens for the summer.
Don't feed it.
Yeah.
My job process, asking that in guys that does.
Mhm.
Putting that up beside here. So Brian Bain, he's known as the tech guru for Northwest Regional ESD. We had to put together, and we did this last year and the year prior, longitudinal performance growth target goals for the district. And currently there has been no measurements. We're waiting for the state of Oregon to check in on every district to see if they're going to hold us accountable for these things. Currently they're not. These are reference points for the districts at the moment. Now the governor did put some sort of request that districts need to hit certain metrics in the future. And I think the timeline, if it goes through, is 2030 is what I heard, where if you don't hit specific metrics, they're going to provide supports for you. And if it doesn't change after the first supports, they're going to come in, they're going to kind of guide it for you on the second round. But after that, they'll come in and they'll take 25% of your state school funding if you don't get things.
Well, that's gonna make it go real good with the money.
So that's news that has just come out last week or so. So this, you can see, I won't give you too much. The red line is the state average for attendance. And you can see Joel around 2020, 2021, coming back from the pandemic, you can see the numbers just are down. Yellow is our, let's see, that's all of our students. Our focal students are actually the green, so that we're able to identify those focal students that we talked about, which is majority is the rural poverty, is what they're talking about there. And we want to close those gaps. We want the green line to be as close to the yellow line as possible. You see where it bounced back 22, 23, and we're at 23, 24. We finished last year, how it just spiked. And the state average, I mean, it obliterated the state average. We are getting, every time we go to ESD, Jules being referenced, and they're showing graphs. This is what we're showing all the time. And they're even asking us, we utilize some of the resources. How are Jules School District, how are you pulling this off? They want to know what this is. But even my thought process, 80% attendance, I want to hire them for a district. But, so I just want you to be aware of those things. When we're putting these goals together, you can see 3rd grade language arts, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation rates, 5-year completers, and then the OD submission. This is what I work on with Brian Bay. And so your baseline targets by 28, 29, that's how far out we have to set these. They were like our 4-year graduation to get the 90.1 percentile. And the stretch target, that's the one underneath it. If we can stretch it out and try to reach it, is 95%. You know, with our student numbers, that's not even a full kid, if that makes sense. So we put it there, one student represents 9 to 10 percentage points, and that can drastically move things over. And so you notice there's a time frame in 2017, 18, 19. I don't know if it's still on the website, but it had been on there for a while, celebrating, I mean, 100% attendance here, or 100% graduation rate, excuse me, for the district. And then we got a report this year, I think it's up to 67, I believe, somewhere around there. Last year was 56. And so going through that with a number of other superintendents and just identifying with Brian Bain also about the information, what designates those kids our kids for graduation rates. So when they're in here as 9th graders, those are our kids, and then we follow them obviously through. But when they move to another district, once another district enrolls them, they're no longer our kids. So it doesn't fall into this rate here. If they go to another state and we don't report that, so if we don't report that to them, they're assuming they're still here in our district. So that would go against our district. If we get students coming into the district as a junior or senior and they just have tanked in the previous district and they come into our district and we're struggling to get them where they need to be, well, we can't get them there in time, that's against us. That goes against all of our graduation rates. So when I look at these numbers, I think we're going to be near 90 to 100% for this year. And then the press will come in and I'll express, this is what we're doing, which is true. But for next year, we could have, another student move in or something, it could drop the number back down again. So I would take that a little bit with a grain of salt. But I guarantee you, we really do work our butts off. These kids are across the line. 5-year cohort completion, you'll notice it's blank. 9th grade on track is blank. 3rd grade is blank because the numbers in this district are so small. That would be identifiable information for our community and for the world to see. We could actually tell you which kids we're talking about, and you're not allowed to do that. That's very private information. So therefore, we do not have any information, and OD does not, and we can't. So the other one is regular attenders. Our goal by 2028, 29 is 80.1%, which we're already there. We've already hit. So now the goal is to maintain it or increase it to the stretch, which I said I'd like to get to 90%. And then our focal group students, those are the ones that get the most. We're talking high poverty, disabilities, and LGBTQ as A+. Those students, we are having a little bit more challenge of getting them to come to school on a regular basis for whatever those reasons are. Those are things that we work in the district. So we can see the rest of it. So this all goes with the integrated reports, but they wanted me to remove this from the report because it does not need to be voted upon or public comment is going to take place because it's still a draft form as well, but this is much more, I want to say more articulate for the state who will utilize that to have further discussions with us in the future for these metrics as we go on. So anyways, every district is doing this in order. So I didn't figure any comments or questions, but yeah, take anything here.
Are our seniors all on track to graduate this year?
How many are there?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 to 11. I don't know.
It's a good class.
Yep. Real strong group of seniors this year.
Have the seniors this year, how long, what's their tenure at the school? Through what, have they all been here since junior high or
Mhm.
elementary?
No, in fact, at least in my time period in the district in general, it's hard to keep usually even half of them here. Usually by the time you get to the end, a good half of them are usually not from freshman year prior. Usually it's people coming in from different districts and whatnot. But this year I have to go through our seniors because I don't know. I have to go back and look at the history and some of these kids arrived.
Most of them will have not been.
Yeah.
Really?
We may have one.
I can say my time as doing kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, it's where I saw somebody finish.
Well, if they're all on track and they haven't all benefited from what we're doing the whole time, that's really good.
We've got, like I said, a good group.
Okay, 8.5, Bridges and Beyond.
And then in your packet, so thank you, Mr. Scott, is it May 1st? Yes. So May 1st, we are having I'll start off with the dark purple one. So we're having a youth prevention fair around vaping, marijuana, alcohol, and opioids. And that is going to be kind of a science fair-based presentation for our students. And is it 5th grade, Mike? 5th grade. Okay, 5th grade through seniors. So having them come in and having some work in and kind of I don't want to say an assembly, but more of a walk around and a very hands-on presentation by the Columbia Health Services.
And that'll be here at
That
school.
will be here at school in the auditorium. And then first, and the very same night also, we're going to get verbiage out this week to our families so they can prepare for this. The same thing then we have from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, a family night on the same night following this event, where there will be a free dinner and presentation, group art projects, raffle prizes, and they're going to be talking about prevention as well for drug use and alcohol. And you're going to have it appropriate for all different levels here.
Comes from
So-
Columbia County.
So I wanted you to be aware of this. Yeah, this is Columbia County, and that's again because of the partnership that
I
we
was
have
gonna say,
over
is that
here.
because of our health?
Yes.
Okay.
And in conjunction, I also reached out a week or two ago to Clatsop County, Health Authority, and made a connection. I forget her name. She's coming out either this Friday or next Friday. I gotta look at my calendar. But I said, I want something more for the district than just a one and done for drug and alcohol prevention for our district. Because like other districts, we have some issues in the district as well. Vaping is an issue also that we have some of our students in the district here. So providing some education coming out here. She is thrilled to be coming out here, like I said, either Friday or next Friday, to provide resources and an operation plan for the district of how we're going to work with our kids to provide education around drug and alcohol use and just in general. And I said, I don't want a one and done. If you're going to come out here, I want a partnership. And I mentioned Cystis League and other avenues with the ag stuff, and that's county health. You're going to build this into something that would be long lasting with Clatsop County. Because I was looking at this going, well, if Columbia County's doing this, Clatsop County, I want them involved with us as well. And Clatsop was involved with it briefly. For some reason, things kind of moved away a little bit for them. But they'll be here to start that conversation with us in about a week or so.
And is the health center still going strong?
It's going strong. If you're going to ask, I have to go through the most recent document. I have some numbers that they provided, I have some supports that they have, but some of the mental health supports are more privileged information, so they don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall what the document said.
But we have enough participation that
Well,
we're not
that's-
going to close?
No, I'm not going to say they're not going to close. They're going to be fine for a while. But I have asked the health people over there, would they be open to having community members come in? I'm just being bluntly down. If we're going to sustain a health center in the middle of the Coast Range, and we only have access for students and staff, you're not going to see numbers come through here. I know it's been discussions with previous boards here as well about what that future may look like. I was going to put this on the April board meeting, and I will for further discussion, but you are going to see me asking, because in that document, it expressed that by, I forget her name again, the lead gal of the health center here, that it's up to the school district whether they want to open up to the community. And I have asked that many times, and they said that they weren't ready for that, but now it's in documents that it's waiting for us if we want to. So I'm going to ask the school board, do we want to open up to this community?
Cause I had to go spider bite the other day and I would love to have somebody
So-
look at.
Free healthcare for the board members.
Darn right.
Absolutely.
So if I want more time to go through that document, so I'll present it to you because I don't have much more. I've got to make some phone calls and discussions before I present going to the board. But that will be in April.
I would love to have it.
Okay, that'll bring us to new business 9.0 HCP update.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief, about an hour. Okay. So the White House, I think many of you are aware of this, but I'm going to say it anyways. President Trump has signed the executive order on March 1st for the immediate expansion of American timber production. I'll read just a little bit of this. It can get very political, so I won't go through some of the political components, but just a few sentences. So in his verbiage, the production of timber, lumber, paper, bioenergy, and other wood products, timber production is critical to our nation's well-being. Timber production is essential for crucial human activities like construction and energy production. Furthermore, as recent disasters demonstrate, forest management and wildfire risk reduction projects can save American lives and communities. The United States has an abundance of timber resources that are more than adequate to meet our domestic timber production needs. The last sentence I'll say is it is vital that we reverse these policies and increase domestic timber production, protect our national economic security. So this is in pertinence to federal forest lands. And we're under the state, if I'm correct here, we're under state forest lands. But I will say there's movement beyond the appeal that we have in place and still waiting to hear back from the appeal for Judge Peterson, whether or not we can move forward. But there are other components that I am currently not at liberty to speak about that are taking place around this right now that could have an impact on our district. Regardless of, HCP has, I believe, had an impact on our budget already at this point. So we'll be hearing more about that as we go into the budgeting stuff that we are preparing for. We are preparing for what I've been speaking to you about for a couple of years at this point. I can't sugarcoat that at all. If that does take away situations, I think it's going to be 3 or 4 years to get the ship rolling back again, as things have already fallen off the cliff. So
bring us into our budget committee meeting next month.
is that right? April? Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, 9.2 mandatory board training. Has everybody had a chance to review that email and log in?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
yes,
it was very, I think Elise sent out an email today regarding kind of the process of doing it, but it's very, I tried doing it prior to that and it was really hard to figure out which training was
right.
the
How
mandatory
did you get
training.
on?
Yeah, they should have sent you an email.
No, I have never received, we were talking about that today. I've
Okay.
never received anything from OSBA with a username or a password or anything. So I've not been able to, because I
Okay.
clicked on it and
Have you got anything, Mike?
no.
Okay.
I'll check into it.
I mean, I did have to go back after I saw the email from Tammy and dug back through OSBA's emails and I found an email that gave me my temporary password and login.
For last year?
No, for the, not the filing. This is
Oh.
just the mandatory board training.
Yeah, it's been, because I tried to do it and I have no username or password to get in,
Okay,
because I found it,
right.
but it wasn't, I couldn't get in.
So I don't know, reach out, try to figure out if, anyway, you'll get a generic email password or a username and a password to get in and then what's your
Call.
OSBA?
Vince needs to hold her hand through
This is
it.
the only thing I
It's
ever.
not, basically, once you get in there, it's not too bad. It's an hour and a half, video now, because it's not a live training. You just have to watch it and then,
Is there a test afterwards?
there's not a test, but I'm not sure if I did it correctly, but you're supposed to take a picture of the end of it and then keep it
How
for
the
your
heck do you
records,
do that?
just with your
Just a
phone.
screenshot?
Yeah, you take a picture with your phone, send it to yourself, so you have a documented that you watched the training.
Okay.
I forwarded it to Elise as well, just so maybe the board would have a general spot of just sending it
Okay.
to confirm that we have the training done.
But yeah, if they could get us the password and usernames, it would.
Yeah, that's this year, right? That just came through the
I
state.
believe so.
Oregon Ethics, yeah, it's.
Yeah, it came out, yeah. Well, yeah. The information was published on January 14th of this year, but starting January 1st of 2024 is when it was officially announced.
I don't think it's annual, it's once your per term, right?
It says all members.
So even if you watch the training now, like Jan and I and Mike are up for reelection, technically you're supposed to watch it again after you've been appointed to the position again.
Okay.
So I learned that after I spent an hour and a half watching it. And I'm like, okay, now we're gonna do it again, you know, pretty soon.
In a
Or
couple
maybe we
months.
won't, I don't know, but we do. Anyway, is there any more that we need to add on that?
Oh, SEI needs to be done.
Right. I did get that on the other day too, and was able to get into that pretty easily and
Yeah, it was
resubmit
easy.
that, so that was good.
Yeah, I
Lot
thought I
easier
could do
this
it on
time
my
than it
cell
was
phone. I was like, oh my God, I gotta put all this stuff in there, so.
It's a little hard to do on the cell phone. Once it's already in there, it's not so bad
Yeah.
the next year, yeah. So,
So I think that was a mistake last year. I was trying to do it on the cell phone. No.
Yeah.
I did it on, and it worked. I was just putting Google. And it worked sure.
so I don't know, does that send you a notification at all when that's been completed, or is that?
I have not gotten one. I think that I can go back onto my account and see. I believe.
Do you want,
It does send me,
I printed off my little sign sheet. Do you want us to give you those?
Let me see if I can access it and then I'll let you know tomorrow. But, I feel like last year I could access it, or either that or they were sending me emails of people who had not done it. But I can't quite remember, but I can log on there and see. And just a reminder that we need budget committee members.
We're already members.
have we had any applications? No. Martha asked him to volunteer because she's got to figure it out. I'm just gonna tell him to do it.
So like if someone not, you just go to you and say, I want to do that.
Just the application.
So,
In the office.
Employees behind.
I don't think so, no, I don't believe so, no. And I also need to make connections.
Tell Nate,
I don't know if he wanted to do it. He's not a really numbers guy other than for tree.
We had a discussion today, if we don't have a budget committee,
We don't.
then what do we do? And so that's something I need to go to the conversation this week. What do we do if we don't have a budget?
Because we can't be the only school district. The way things are going.
I think it's just too library.
That's what my thought process, yeah, it still needs to go forward. Get the budget.
Well, yeah, maybe just somehow put it out for public comment and make that count.
I guess, I've got some
can we
discussion.
do something with with the text message or the social media side of the school?
Have a look over budget message, yeah, but it's about.
Put a message
That
out.
would be a great idea.
And not just we need someone, but to say specifically this meeting and this meeting, that's all.
Martha told you.
Well, it could be more than that.
Right.
Hopefully, 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can put some, probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay, 9.3, principal position posting update.
So it's been about a week, almost over a week that we posted the principal position already, and just letting you know, we have, I believe, 4 applicants already. Headed down this Thursday to the Oregon Educators Fair down in Salem, so headed out late Wednesday after work, and I get up early on Thursday, and Shelley Alford will be there also, and good representation of this, we got displays and whatnot, and any other positions we have, but principal will definitely be a position we're gonna be very open and trying to track down.
Are they local or are they from all over?
2 are from, well, one's looking at moving potentially if they're interested from Alaska.
Wow.
And then one is local, another one is from Arizona, but was here in the Astoria area for a number of years, looking to move back, and the other one I don't remember.
Okay.
I think potentially New Mexico or something,
Wow.
Yeah. so.
So new blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one might be from, Gerhart, no, I'm kidding.
He hasn't quite applied yet. He's thinking about it. Okay, oh, yeah. 10.0, audience clarifications.
Oh, kind of that. Are you planning on trying to hire before June 30th on the
So
Principal?
the end date is April 26th, 28th, one of those 2 days. And then put an interview committee together. And I am looking for 12 to 15 people. So I'm looking for both administrators, 2 board members. I'm looking for 2 board members to be on that team. And then 3 certified, 3 classified, and then fill the remaining with community members. And then once we dwindle it down to whatever we have, then have the students take part also, walking and guiding, having some conversations with candidates
That was for what, sorry?
for the principal position. So I'm seeing sometime first, second week of May to have those interviews. We got another 4 or 5 more weeks roughly.
I believe I think it was when Alice was hired, didn't they have a committee, they had like three candidates at the school, an open house.
I don't remember that.
There was
Actually, it was
something where they
Steve.
actually,
It was Steve.
Yeah.
And we actually had an entire board meeting. The whole board was present.
I remember something
We had
in,
all of the candidates come to the board. We had like
well, I
5
think it was
meetings that month.
before that though, it was a meet and greet with 3 different candidates with public and
They opened up the school, they went through all the teachers.
That was with
the
Steve as well?
students, Yep.
okay. Interesting of that.
And Alice was part of that.
Okay.
She was the superintendent at that time. It was a big thing when Steve was hired. I mean, we had a lot of meetings. Some 1 o'clock in the morning.
So we're on track.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I know there was a lot of meetings on the other end too, so, yeah. Okay, audience clarification. Board of Directors time. Director Wallach.
Well, that was great listening to Michael's garden. So next time we have a school bus we can't get rid of, is that what you're gonna do with it? Keep it going?
Probably.
Couple years ago, you had a school bus, had your own greenhouse.
Yeah,
I was gonna give you a hard time saying how many trucks of water it took to get those friends going. But nice job with it. It really is impressive. Keep it up. Other than that, it's good.
Director Drew.
Same thing, Martha, thank you. It's wonderful. I love the presentation. I love seeing the kids up there getting out there, getting their hands dirty, just doing physical work rather than sitting doing this all day. That was great, great. And I saw that some reservations were being made for senior trip.
Yes.
Yes, that's getting on, so thank you for that.
24.
Yeah, yeah,
For your next board.
and hopefully bad weather's gone. No more windstorm. No. Hopefully we can get through the end of the year. So anyway, and thank you, Corey, for that hard work on that. So I just can't imagine the work that is required to keep the school district running.
Keep expanding the integrated
I
programs.
know, it's just amazing what they think that everybody's got all the spare time to do. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's just that.
I agree, Martha. Thank you for educating us on what you're doing there. That's pretty cool. The kids are involved and very, very easy to tell you're passionate about it. And I agree with Corey. When we have people that are passionate about doing these things, we need to ride the wave as much as we can. So hopefully it gets more volunteers and keep moving forward. Thank you, Corey, for putting in quite a bit of work this weekend and some emails you sent out. I know that was time away from other things you could be doing, so. It does not go unnoticed. So appreciate that. And hopefully, I think it's the rest of the board for hopefully trying to go through that stuff this weekend too and preparing for tonight a little bit more. So that's all I got. Director Dietrich?
Yeah, Martha, great job. It's amazing. My girlfriend's daughters, they go to Newburgh High School. They're 14 and 15. And I guarantee you, if I asked them to go plant a carrot, they'd look at you like a deer in front of a Peterbilt. I mean, they wouldn't know where to start, right? And it would be an absurd amount of Oregon students that don't know the basic fundamentals of your basic garden, right? And for us to be kind of paving that path, it's amazing, right? And we can't let up on that. We got to keep full throttle going on that. So good job. You win the day for sure.
Dr. Singh?
Well, I'm excited to see the ag program growing with your efforts and getting those grants. And I think in a 30,000 foot view, engaging the children, creating something they can bring back to school and be healthy and eat this fresh food and getting the construction put into that, layered into that. I think it will really all contribute toward all the metrics you're working so hard, and both the principal and superintendent and all the staff, working so hard to keep the kids in attendance and engaged and making their way through graduation. And also that the kids can meet and exceed the benchmarks for math and reading and science. I think that I'm starting to feel a little more hopeful that we can actually get them all there. So this for me was a great evening of information, and combined with your integrated programs, information, I just feel like it's a ton of work, and yet I feel like it really is not busy work, actual essential building blocks. We're getting a great foundation. So I feel really hopeful about the future.
Well said. Okay. 12.0 items for future meeting. We have a teacher evaluations update and a superintendent evaluation to be finished, wrapped up in April. So that being said, we're going to adjourn into executive session per ORS 192.6602I to discuss the evaluation process of the chief executive.
Take a break.
Yeah, we will take a break. 5 minutes, I get that.